Guys, before we hop into today's episode of the podcast, I want to tell you about a company I'm partnering with called David Protein. If you're a runner or someone who just wants to stay active, obviously the training you do matters, but to maximize that training, you have to maximize your recovery. And studies show that 30 to 50% of people don't get enough adequate protein in their daily lives. With David Protein bars, you get 28 grams of protein per bar with the added benefit of 0 grams of sugar, 0 gluten, and only 150 calories per bar. David Protein is my go-to because it tastes like dessert, but I'm also getting closer to my protein goal for the day. For me, I've been lifting a lot more recently, so protein is massively important, and David Protein has been my go-to. Give it a try. If you're not fully satisfied with it, shoot me a DM. I will fully refund your order. I've left a link in the show notes. Up your protein, up your recovery, and watch your running flourish as a result. Let's get into today's episode.
I don't think I would keep trying if I didn't think it was possible. I had this conversation with my coach right at the end of cross-country season. We're doing some goal setting, and she was like, do you want to have this in your mind? And I said, I don't know. That one's been pretty untouchable for, over 20 years now? It's just seemed so far out there. I for sure have a lot more confidence after running 356 this early, and it's only indoor season. I don't think there's any guarantees, but I think it is something to have in my eyes down the road.
That's Owen Powell today on the Running Effect podcast. And Owen recently had probably one of the most impressive 1 week stretches in all of high school boys distance running. On February 14th, he ran 357.74 to break the illustrious 4-minute barrier for the first time. And then a week later, ladies and gentlemen, he ran a time of 356.66 at the Boston University track on February 21st, literally week to week later. So in a week, he ran 357 and then a week later, 356, which broke the national high school indoor mile record held by former podcast guest Hobbs Kessler, who's doing remarkable things in his own right. Today's conversation, we dive into these two performances. We dive into Owen's mindset, all the things he has planned for this upcoming outdoor season. We tease him going after Alan Webb's record in the mile, where his mindset is at with records like that, other ambitions he has for his season. Always thoroughly enjoy talking with Owen. He's so well spoken, so well thought through. And I know you guys are going to be enlightened, encouraged, and inspired by Owen's words and how he talks about these record-breaking performances, as well as how he views history and chasing after his own limits and controlling what he can control and only focusing on that. If you guys do enjoy this one, share it with a friend, a family member, a teammate, someone who you think would find value and benefit from it. I would greatly appreciate that. And then the cherry on top, and make sure you're following the show or subscribed if you're watching on Spotify, and give us a 5-star review. I would really appreciate it. Also, if it's still there, might not be there, but go check out the merch we just made in the show notes below. Only 200 pieces. It's going quick. Cop a shirt if it's still there. Appreciate you guys. Enjoy the conversation with record breaker, the man, the myth, the legend, Owen Powell. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Owen Powell, man of the hour, Mr. 356. How are we doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Really good. So fun having you back on because, I've had you on throughout the years and had you on before Brooks PR. And I remember a big part of that conversation was talking about your chase of sub 4. And I loved your mindset where you were like, I got another year. It'll happen when it's meant to happen. I'm going to focus on competing, being a better version of myself. And I thought in the back of my head, I'm like, I talk to Olympians all the time. That's the type of mindset that will make you run a time like 356 one day. Has it set in yet, just how fast you've run? And it's almost more impressive you did it back-to-back weeks. That's pretty rare.
Yeah, I feel like usually I'm not super great at just being able to pump out races back-to-back. So I'm honestly pretty impressed with myself at this one. But yeah, it's kind of set in a little bit, but I feel like not fully yet. I'm still super stoked, and I feel like I'm still a little bit on that high right now. But yeah, it does feel pretty good though.
Which one was more meaningful, the 357 where you first broke 4 minutes in the mile, or the 356 where you broke the national record?
That's a good question. I'd probably have to say the more meaningful one was the first time, the 357, because that one was in Seattle. It was in front of a home crowd. All my friends were there watching. And that was just a really cool thing to have, me basically cross the line and then just them come up to hug me and congratulate me. So it's hard to beat that, even with the 356.
We'll get into your training and mindset and all of that, but the night before the race, that 357 race. So that was February 14th. So February 13th, the night before, what are you thinking? Where's your mindset at? Are you talking to your parents, your coaches? Like, is it like tomorrow's like the day I'm going to do it? Like, are you nervous? What was that kind of emotion like the night before, and how'd you feel going into it?
Sorry, the night before the 357 one?
Yes. Yeah. The first time you
Yeah.
broke 4. So February 13th.
I mean, I'm not gonna just like it's always been a goal of mine ever since I started, I guess, really seriously running. And I just feel like I usually don't overthink races, but for some reason, I've just like every night before I'd be going to sleep for probably the past like 2 weeks, like I would just like I'd be envisioning myself on that purple track, just like coming down the home stretch to like. It was weird though because I never really got that. Even though I was thinking about it a lot, I never really got that nervous. But so when the moment came, I just felt really ready, and I was like, I'm just going to do the same thing I do every race, just put it all out on the line, try my best, and you know, that night it just ended up working out.
You kind of grew up on that track, and in Seattle, we talked about that in relation and context of our first conversation, how you kind of like, your dad formerly coaching Oregon, you grew up in Tracktown, USA. You didn't really understand what it meant, but you've definitely probably grown up more in Seattle. What did it mean to do it on that track, specifically with your rich history there and just like knowing it, probably seeing countless runners rip workouts, races, like long before your time?
I mean, just seeing like other legendary races there, like even watching people run 350 there, just insane times, and just watching even just insane like historical races. Like I knew, I guess it could be done there, and the fact that it was at home, like I just felt super cool. Like I think I'm obviously really fortunate and lucky to just have this 300-meter like Mondo track 20 minutes from my house. So I'm just always saying, why not take advantage of it this end of season?
Which track's faster, BU or UW?
Honestly, I feel like it's got to be VU, but just by a hair. Like I think the banked really does it, but and also UW being 307, it just makes it really difficult to understand how fast you're going.
Sure.
So honestly, I think I knew in that 357 race, I think I knew my first 400 split, and then I had no idea like how fast I was going the rest of the race. I was just trying to compete with
Really?
the people. Yeah, I was
Do
I
you
was in
think
a.
that helped or no?
I think it for sure did. Like I came through 400 and I think it was like 59 or something, and then I felt like a little tense, and then I hear my coach, she was on the infield, she says just like don't focus about the time, just race the people. And then yeah, at that point I don't even think I looked at the clock again till the end of the race. And at that point I think in like last or second to last, and then I just tried to focus on moving up in place and racing the people around me, and that ended up working pretty well. So
Yeah, it did. What moment did you realize you broke 4, and what were those emotions like? You mentioned a minute ago, having friends, family there. What was that moment like? A lot of times these people, well, in high school, you'll travel across the country to make it happen, and maybe have a parent there, maybe have a coach there, but it's very rare that you have like your whole community there. What did that mean to you?
yeah, I mean, I think when I crossed the line initially, I was pretty sure I had it, but I just was kind of telling myself I need to see it first to believe it. I need to see it on that clock, and it takes the 10-15 seconds before it loads onto that like results screen. But I mean, that felt like a pretty long 10-15 seconds. But seeing that like that 3 up there next to my name, like once I knew that, my hands were up, I was celebrating, and then that's when all my friends came over to congratulate me, and then I saw my coach and my parents, and yeah, I mean, like I said before, it's such a special moment. I feel like I'm talking to a lot of other people that have broken 4. They always just say like one of the best days of their life is doing it then. But I think the fact that it was just in front of my parents, my coach, and all my friends just made it even better.
Did that day feel weird at all? And what I mean by that is like, I'm guessing, correct me if I'm wrong here, like you probably woke up in your own bed that night. You went to bed in your own bed. You probably had a pretty normal routine. I'm sure you go to campus all the time. Was it kind of odd? Did it feel like almost weirdly normal?
Yeah, it does feel a little weird, like waking up race day in your own bed. But honestly, I think it's pretty nice because it's just I feel like having that sense of like I guess normal in my day before and like day leading up, or sorry, day before and like day of. I think that just really simplifies things. Like I think a lot of people day before race day like I guess they like try to like overcomplicate the day. And I think that's really easy to do when you're just in a new place, like in a hotel room. So I think, it being home and just waking up and being able to sleep in my bed, I think just simplified it a lot and just made, I guess, the lead up to the race a lot easier.
Which parent got more nervous during the race?
Or sorry?
Before? Which parent got more nervous during the race or before, would you say?
I don't know. I would for sure say both my parents were more nervous than me. And my coach was definitely more nervous than all of us. But I would probably say, actually, I don't know between my mom and my dad, though.
What was that moment like with them? And again, for those who haven't listened to our first conversation, definitely should, because we cover a lot of your backstory, so I don't feel the need to in this conversation. But, they did such a good job with you, it sounds like, of not pushing the sport onto you. You kind of discovered your love through your own endeavors and through your own means. What has it been like, specifically of recent memory and with an accomplishment like this, to like sharing these accomplishments with individuals who are so ingrained in the sport? And, of course, in their situation and sitting right here, it's like their facility. Like they live, eat, breathe, sleep that place.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And like I said before, I'm my parents have done a really good job. Yeah, never just pushing the sport on me and just being, I guess, just very encouraging, just like how parents are. And yeah, I guess them being there at the track, they were never, I guess, like shouting splits at me or anything. They're just saying, "You can do it. You're so close." Like, I guess they're just doing what parents do, just believing in me. And yeah, that's all I could ask for.
You break 4, you ultimately decide to go from one coast to the other coast. How long is that plane ride? How'd you feel post-plane ride? And what was the intent going into this past weekend?
I'm not going to lie. It was kind of a last minute trip. Like I said before, we had this week off of school, and, it was just like doing those across the country meets during school. It's just kind of, it's always a pain. You're missing at most like 3 or 4 days of school. And also there's a storm going on right now. My power might go out.
Okay. All good.
So,
all good. Keep it interesting for
right
the viewers.
Sorry about that.
All good.
And yeah, I think, like I said, just that race was never really on our schedule. But I think after hearing how close I was to that national record and how good that felt, but like how much more I think I could have like improved off that, even off of 1 week. It was more just like an effort we ball, just give it one more shot. Like if it ends up blowing up in my face, at least I already did it. I already broke 4, and all I can do, it's like low risk, high reward is the best way to put it. So yeah.
Going into these races, did you feel like you were doing the type of training that's like a 356 worthy? And was there a specific workout you did leading into the first sub 4 attempt that you feel like gave you the confidence that like, I'm really fit?
Yeah, I think I only started doing workouts, I think probably early to mid January. So
gosh, that's scary.
Yeah. I mean, I think
he's fit, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Thank you. But I think I built a really good base during cross country season, and taking a break after NXN to just, I guess, like mentally and physically just recharge and regroup. That helped a lot. But I think mainly what it was is just stacking the weeks on weeks on top of each other. But I guess to answer your question about if there's just a certain workout that made me feel good about it, we did one workout. It was like it was the workout after I ran my 8:04 3K. And it was just like a hodgepodge of like some 200, some 2-mile tempo work, but right dead in the middle, it was 4x400 at mile pace, minute rest. And my coach said like, all right, we're hitting 59.5 today. And then I kind of looked at her like she was crazy, because at this point I didn't really believe it could happen, or at least this early. But I was able to do that workout, and that felt good. But I think the one that defined, like, I guess, like 357, 356 shape versus just sub 4 shape was I did this. I think it was this is the Saturday before running 357. I think I did like 3 1Ks, just like a warm up, 90-second rest. I think it was around 255-ish. And then the fun stuff started. It was 4-3-2. It was 4-3-2, 2 minutes or 90-second rest. And on the first, that twice through. And I hit, I think, like 57.45 45:27, and that was already faster than I should have been. And then I was supposed to speed up the second set, so I was like, oh no, what do I do now? Now I got to run faster. So then I think I hit 55, which surprised myself because that was the fastest 400 I hit at this season at this point. 41:26, I think. And then naturally surprise 400 at the end. And I think I hit like 52 high. But I mean, like I felt really good through it. I don't think I was rigging at any point. And I think that not only like I was able to see the fitness and that
Closing
moment.
at 52 is nuts.
Yeah, thank you. But I think it just like
if you're a high schooler listening to this and you can't break 60, keep running. Don't quit. Don't quit.
I mean, yeah, that workout just gave me a lot of confidence. And then 1 week later, I guess like I just kept envisioning myself. I was like, all right, 400 to go. If I can come through 259-ish, like I'm just so confident in myself because of workouts I did like that and the consistent training I've been doing to build up for that.
So your dad obviously has coached so many sub 4 milers throughout the years and continues to do so. And I feel like out of anyone on this earth who would know sub 4 shape, it's probably that guy. Did you ever talk to him about like, Dad, am I actually in sub 4 shape?
I mean, he doesn't really, I talk to him about my workouts sometimes, but he usually doesn't say like, oh, this is the type of shape you're in. He'll just be like, that's pretty good. But yeah, to add on to like all the sub 4 milers on his team, I mean, just like, I'm just so pumped to be on that UW team next year. Like me and Josiah are going to be incoming freshmen. We've already broken 4. And I think it's just crazy to think, I don't know how many people he has on his team right now, sub 4. It's like over 12 or something. And to just think like I would just be like probably like the 6th or 7th guy on the team right now, like that's just insane to me. Like I just can't wait to be surrounded by guys that are, better than me, than I can try to be like, to try to better myself. And yeah,
totally. Something I'm curious to hear about, how does I've talked about this with someone in regards to the female side. Allie Zealand, she graduated this past spring and she ended up going to Liberty. Her mom coaches there. So I heard about it from her perspective. Hearing about it from your perspective, how does recruiting work with your parents being the coaches?
I mean, like I said before, they're just trying to be very encouraging to what I want and what I think is best for myself. So they did a pretty good job because I decided pretty late. I think, when did I decide? Like, I don't know, sometime mid cross country season. But, I was really split between UW and 2 other schools. And yeah, they just did their best. My mom definitely more than my dad, but they tried their best to just be unbiased and supportive to what I wanted. But yeah, I mean, I think if the day that I decided that I ended up wanting to go to UW, it was kind of funny. Like, I think we were just like on the couch after dinner watching Family Guy, and I was just like, can I still go to UW? It was the most random thing.
Love it. Looking ahead, any more indoor races? Where's your mindset at? And is it still time chasing, or is it more just like lockdown, compete, let's take a breather?
Yeah, I think I had a pretty solid I'm done indoor season. I'm not doing any more races. And honestly, to just, I guess, recap on the entire season, I don't think I could be more happy than this. Like, I PR'd 3 times in the mile and a 15-second PR in the 3K. And then also just that New Balance race, being able to compete against some top junior guys was just really cool. Even though I got nipped at the line there, it was cool to be top American at that race. And yeah, now it's just kind of put my head down. We ain't done yet. Put in some more hard work of training and get ready for the next, I guess, big outdoor invites.
This is a question, Owen, that is not exclusive to you. They all hate answering it. Some, like Connor Burns' personalities, liked answering it more. But I would always ask it throughout the years of Reinhard Harrison, Simeon Birnbaum, all sorts of people. You break 4. It's a classic Dominic Schlitter question. Alan Webb, what are the thoughts? 352. You seem to have the best shot. You might be America's hope to give us a new record holder. What are your thoughts around that record?
I mean, I don't think I would keep trying like if I didn't think it was possible. And I know I had this conversation with my coach right at the end of cross country season. We're doing some goal setting, and she was like, "Do you have this? Do you want to have this in your mind?" And I said, "I don't know. That one's been pretty untouchable for over 20 years now. Like, it's just seemed so far out there." but I for sure have a lot more confidence after running 356 this early, and it's only indoor season. So I don't think there's any guarantees, but I think it is something to have in my eyes down the road. I think there'll be a bunch of milestones before that, but yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Obviously the mile time itself matters, but something that I think you talked about, but giving you the opportunity to give greater context to it. Like this is something I've learned from my conversations with Hobbs Kessler. Like the mile is his event, but he takes confidence from improving in these weird off distances where he's like, this means I can run this much faster in the mile. For you, you mentioned that with the 3K this indoor season, just like how much strength you gain from the consistency over the cross country season. Does that excite you at all this outdoor season to like work on some of those distances that maybe aren't like your marquee event, but as you're improving, it is actually going to benefit your mile time overall?
Yeah, I think I'm just one of those guys that I like, bumping up to the 3200, I like bumping down to the 800. I'm going to do that. Unfortunately, I think I probably only have like two or three invites where I can, like, there's, I guess, like pretty solid competition. And yeah, I think we're only doing like three invites total. But I think that just that makes it hard to do, I guess, other events. But I'll for sure be doing a 3200 at Arcadia. And once I start getting some speed work in, I usually like to rip a couple good 800s. And I think that always just adds to, I think the mile, it's safe to say the mile is my main event now. And I think just doing that stuff can make me stronger and faster and on my main event, just like Hobbs was saying.
Of course, very, very early in to talk about logistics, but it excites me. It's top of mind in terms of like the mile record. I could be wrong. You could still prove me wrong. People can make edits of this if you prove me wrong. You're probably not going to do it at like some high school dual meet or even like some small Washington meet. It's probably going to take place at like a festival miles, or if you get into like the Prefontaine Classic mile, which I could be wrong. I think that's where Webb said it. Have you thought about like targeting those specific occasions where you give yourself the greatest shot to run something like a 352?
Yeah, I guess I haven't really since just it's I guess all those late season post track season races are so late. I haven't really put a whole lot of thought into pinpointing what exact meet that'd be at. But I for sure agree with you. It'd be definitely a lot easier in some race like where all the best milers in the country come together than just some dinky dual meet.
Speaking
So
on like a festival miles, it's an event I've had the privilege of going to the past 2 years. Something that I personally love about it is, guys try to break for the first time in high school, but like 2 years ago with Connor and Simeon, it was like they want to win. They still want to win. And this could happen at a festival miles or like a Brooks PR, maybe both more likely. But, you mentioned Josiah or Tavon, like we're getting to a level where the times are going to be ridiculous, but also the top competition, it's going to be equally as exciting to watch people compete as it is going to be for you to chase a time and chase a record. How excited are you for those opportunities to go head to head with the best guys and try to prove yourself as the best guy of the class of 2025?
yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up because I think it's always fun to talk about, how fast of a time we can run. But we got to remember, like, this is probably like one of, if not the best, I think, like class we've ever seen of high school runners. Like, I don't know if there's ever been an indoor season where multiple people have gone sub 4, but we already have 3. And, there's a couple guys right on the edge of it too. And I just think at those big meets like Hoka or Brooks PR, like I think it's always fun to chase a time, but I think honestly the most impressive thing is going to be trying to come away with that win, just because, like I said, everyone else is so good too.
Speaking specifically on wins, what do you feel like is your best tactical advantage? And is tactics something you think about much, or do you feel like it comes natural to you?
Yeah, I think tactics are definitely important, and I think just depending on the race, every race is going to require different tactics. Like, especially, I've done a couple races just against college and pro guys this year, and I think they're just a lot more aggressive. It feels like I've just no one wants to lose to the high schooler, so I feel like I'm just getting shoved around a lot. Which I think I did get some takeaways from those races, and I think no matter how good someone is, I think you can always improve tactically. And Yeah, I think tactically my advantages, like I think I've got good 800 speed, so I've been able to rely on my kick in the past, but I guess also having, you know, scary people that can run pretty fast times as well. It's going to be like sometimes it doesn't even come down to a kick just because everyone's so tired. It just comes down to a strength. And yeah, Taven beat me in an 800 or sorry at a 3K earlier this season just because like he just started dropping like 60s on me like a K out, and I think I just got to be ready to take like a tactical race from like far out or 200 to go. And I think that's going to be my main focus going like at these outdoor meets.
From a feelings perspective, do you love to win more than you hate to lose, or do you hate to lose more than you love to win?
I'd say I love to win more than I hate to lose. Like I think um, it's dangerous to always expect that you're going to win. So I never really go into a race expecting that I'm going to win. I just kind of like I guess I'm happy if it ends up happening, and I don't really beat myself up if I put all I have out there on the table and still don't come away with a win. Because I think a win in my book is just if I can, I guess, basically finish on empty. Like if I can empty the tank, I'm and I don't end up winning a race or running the time I want. It's hard to be anything but happy with that.
Sure. You knew you did everything within your power to give
Yeah,
it your all.
like,
Yeah.
exactly. If you give 100% effort, then like you can't be upset that you didn't have any more to give.
I want to ask you this in regards to the sub 4 conversation. We'll set that over under at 5.5, over under 5.5 guys, sub 4 this year.
I don't know. Well, we already have three.
Sure.
And like I said, I've seen Tommy Latham. He's right
He's going to
there.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got. I mean, and then I
You
don't
need
even
two
know how
more.
many people do we have like sub 405 right now.
Well, that's the scary thing, Owen, is like you get to March and April and you hear these new names for the first time and you're like, never heard
Yeah.
of you, man. Like, no disrespect, but you came out of nowhere. So I
Yeah,
totally think that could happen. That's why it's just scary. Like, you don't know.
yeah. I mean, there's for sure just I know there's a lot of states that just don't have indoor seasons, so people really don't prioritize peaking until late outdoor. So I don't even think we can base a number off of just indoor performances right now. So I would guess I think we could see over. I think we could see 5 or 6. I think 5.5 is a good number, but
If you
I'm
guys,
optimistic. I would say 6
if you get 6 in your mind, is it the greatest class of all time?
for sure.
Love it.
Like maybe I would. It could even argue like the deepest too.
Yeah. I mean, what's crazy about like you said 3 sub 4, but to give greater context, one of you ran 357 and one of you ran 356. I
Yeah,
think we're for the first time in an era where it's not just going sub 4, it's like how deep can you go sub 4? In the
yeah,
past, it's like barely getting it, like 359 point, yada yada yada.
yeah. I mean, it's pretty cool that like the 1 and 2 all time indoors are in the same class and coincidentally going to the same school next year. So I'm pretty excited to have Josiah as a roommate or teammate.
In your mind, what would you have to accomplish this outdoor season to feel accomplished, feel like, you gave it your all and walk away from high school running feeling good about it?
I always just say like if I can improve and be the best version of myself, I always like I said I always take that as a win. So and maybe that's not like always seeing like a time that's improvement. If I can just I guess like you said like it can always be tactics or championship races. If I can improve that way, yeah, I'm always happy with myself.
For those listening to this conversation, maybe we'll wrap this up here. Look up to you, all you've accomplished. Want to go sub 4 one day if they're on the younger side? What would be the final takeaway message that you want to leave with them?
Yeah, I always end up saying this. It sounds kind of boring, but I think it's just stay consistent and listen to your coach, uh, and just try to like always bounce off your teammates. I guess try to like bring each other up. But yeah, main thing I'd say stay consistent. Don't try to make any like 20-mile increase leaps in mileage or try to start seeing these insane workouts you like hear on Instagram and stuff. But yeah.
I love it. Such good wisdom. So wise beyond your years. Final question for you on a lighter note. I think you got Raising Cane's after the 356 with the boys. So maybe that's your answer. But like, what's the best in your mind post race celebration meal and dessert?
Unfortunately, we didn't end up going to Raising Cane's because,
Okay.
yeah, Shazai and Taven. That was the plan, but they had to go back to the other track and watch their teammates. But I would have to say, I'm a big fan of Dave's Hot Chicken. I don't know if you've ever been, but
Haven't, but I know about it.
oh, it's good. But yeah, I had it. I mean, I always save it as a treat, and I had it after my first sub 4 mile, and I mean, it was one of the greatest. It was one of the greatest meals of my life. I'm not gonna lie.
What about
So,
dessert? What do you go for?
dessert. Ooh, have you ever had a bazooki? I think that's what it's called.
Know the name, but you'll have to describe it for me.
Yeah,
I don't think I
it's just
have.
like a melted like chocolate or cookie with ice cream on top. I think it's pretty simple, but it's
Yeah,
just I feel like you can't beat it.
hits every time. Oh,
Yeah,
and appreciate you, man. Thanks for taking time out of your busy life to break down the race, break down your mindset. It's been such a privilege watching you grow into the athlete you are today, and excited to follow along this outdoor season, whether you run 450 in the mile or 350 in the mile. It's going to be exciting to see what you do. So keep up the
no
great
problem.
work, and yeah,
Thanks
excited to
for
follow
having me.
along.